And welcome to the Dental Marketing Guy Show. I'm Justin, the Dental Marketing Guy, and today we have a guest who is hugely renowned in the SEO field. Let me tell you, there are not a lot of names when it comes to teaching SEO, when it comes to blogging about how to do SEO. You know, a lot of dentists come to me and they say, Justin, it's not really clear. I got this cold call. They're talking all this technical jargon. It's not clear what do you do in SEO? How do you get your dental website to the top of Google? Well, our guest today is Nathan Gotch from GotchSEO.com. And let me tell you, Nathan has been in this industry for years, and he has been a thought leader of a whole other caliber. He's ranked on page 1 towards the top for the keyword backlinks. If you know anything about backlinks, it's a hugely competitive keyword. Everyone's gunning for that. Backlinks are largely what help you rank. If you followed this show at all, you know that getting those inbound links, getting those endorsements, being cited by credible, relevant authorities in your industry is really huge. So who better to ask about backlinks? Who better to ask about how do you build backlinks going into 2017 than the guy whose blog post ranks on Google for this? So, you know, there's probably, I could go on for a while because it's not just about backlinks, but I do want to talk to you about the backlinks and how that's done. But first of all, Nathan, how you doing?
Doing great, doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's a huge honor. Why don't we get into, you know, I'm hoping to get into the meat of this real soon, but your story, the kind of the background, how you got into SEO, why you got into SEO. I'm curious about that first.
Yeah, so it's a pretty weird path, so I'll try to be quick with it. But I have a degree in political science, which has nothing to do with SEO, obviously. But my senior year of college, I always loved doing stuff online, even when I was in middle school and stuff like that. And so I started looking up ways to make money online, classic story, nothing new. And so I went through the whole thing. You know, I did paid surveys, and that was making me like 10 cents an hour, maybe something like that. Really, really monumental. And so I realized that wasn't going to be scalable. So I actually joined a course that was going to teach you how to make money online. I don't even remember the name of the course at this point. It was so bad, but for someone like me that had no knowledge of anything, it was pretty decent. But looking back in hindsight, it was a really bad course. But it basically, what I learned from the course is that I should create a blog because that's one of the best ways to make money online. So at the time, my senior year, I was captain of the baseball team. So I loved baseball, been playing baseball my whole life. And so I decided to create a baseball pitching blog. And so that's kind of where I started. And I, just like everyone else, have no clue how to drive traffic to a site. So I started looking up, you know, different ways to do that. And then I stumbled upon SEO and I basically fell in love with it. And I started testing it on this site and then started driving traffic to it. And then from there, I started creating niche sites and started to be able to rank so consistently that I was like, well, I could just probably offer this as a service. And then that's kind of how my agency started as well. So, and then now I have a pretty successful agency. I don't know, it's all relative, I guess. But then we also have another part of the company that actually services SEO agencies. So we sell, you know, links and other types of services, white label, to agencies all over the country. So those are the two biggest pieces of the business. And then also, as we were discussing earlier, I have a Gotch SEO Academy, which basically teaches people how to do SEO as well. So,
excellent. You know, in that academy, in, you know, your service and teaching people on your blog, I want to talk about some of the best practices regarding, you know, say I'm a dentist, I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, or Los Angeles, or Anchorage, Alaska. I'm in a big metropolis area. There's lots of people using Google to find a dentist. Where do I even start? What's the best place to start? What's step one in terms of getting ranked on Google for those competitive keywords?
Yeah. So if you're targeting local searches, and even if you're targeting national searches, I'm always going to say that you should use a content-driven approach. I mean, that's the approach we use with our clients, and that's the approach we use on our own site. So, and the reason for that is because content is the single best way to drive links to the site, and it's the most scalable link acquisition strategy too. So, if you have content assets on your site, it makes everything way easier, and it's also the most natural way to go about things. I mean, you can certainly, there are many ways to rank in Google. You can take the kind of PBN approach, which is a gray hat way of doing things, and that works. But of course, it comes with risk.
Can you go a little bit more? Sorry to interrupt, but PBN. Most of the viewers don't know what a PBN.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah,
That's all right.
let me make sure I spell out those acronyms a little bit. PBN is a private blog network. So basically, some SEOs will go and find domains that have expired. They'll purchase those domains, and then they'll rebuild a website with the sole purpose of just putting a link on it back to their site. And the reason for that is because expired domains have authority. And so you're just basically able to get link authority right away by building a private blog network. And the problem with it is that obviously they're artificial links. They have no value really. And so Google doesn't love them very much, but Google can't detect them perfectly. So that's why they're still a pretty popular tactic to use. But obviously, like I said, there's a lot of risks in that strategy, and there are other strategies that are safer that I would definitely stick to if you don't really know what you're doing. So,
in terms of link building, and just so our viewers know, so the PBNs, the private blog networks, are essentially websites that are built for the purpose of linking to your dental website, and then from there, what you're saying is the link passes authority from this site endorsing your dental website, and then it ranks higher. Is that basically it?
yep, exactly. Yep, that's how you do it. And obviously, depending on how competitive the industry is, you would need to build many of these sites. So it just kind of depends. But the problem is that when most people build out a private blog network, they leave a huge footprint, and Google's able to actually find that footprint, and then they'll actually de-index those websites and make them practically useless, or they'll just give you a manual penalty. So one or the other.
So there's huge risks involved in it, not only losing the rankings that you've gained, but actually getting penalized, or in SEO we call it sandbox, where you can't even get on page one of Google unless you jump through a bunch of hoops and call a guy like you to get him out of that penalty box. So when with so many SEO companies using these, as you say, gray hat or black hat techniques, where they're artificially building links because the links are what work, how do you get good links? How do you get rid of that risk? How do you actually, I'm a dentist and I'm like, I don't know anything about link building. Where do I start there?
So usually the best place to start is obviously with content. So for a dentist in particular, a dentist is an expert, but a dentist may not have time to really craft, comprehensive content because they have to be a dentist. So, but they would need to find a way to develop content that is perfect for their ideal customer. So whoever that is, they'd have to figure out, if they're a family dentist or, I don't know, different types of dentists, but any type of classification, and they would have to write content geared towards that particular, what they call an ideal customer avatar, or an ICA. And then obviously there are ways to craft the content for SEO. So you want to create content that is based around an idea that you find or a keyword. So, and there are ways to find these keywords. You can obviously use the Google Keyword Planner, or you can use SEMrush, which you just take one of your competitors' URL and you put it right into the tool, and then you'll be able to see the keywords that competitor is ranking for. And then one of my personal favorite strategies is to actually go to forums in the industry. So for example, if I had a dentist client, I'd look up dentist forums, and then I would see, what are the questions being asked in that forum by the people in there. And then you can create a piece of content around those problems or questions that they have. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And for, you dentists watching this, you already know what the FAQs are. So when we talk about producing content, a lot of people think about writing, and writing is a very, it's like there's this big wall you have to jump over. Like I'm just a tooth mechanic. I don't want to write. I'm not an English major, but when we're talking about producing content, that could be video, that could be writing, that could be photography. It can be chairside, it can be face to face, right? So if you're already answering questions like how much does a crown cost, wouldn't it make sense to at least get that kind of content? I mean, heck, even record yourself talking as you normally explain this, and then of course you've got the follow-up questions. So is that the kind of content that you're talking about?
Well, you could certainly, I mean, that's more of kind of a content marketing approach, a little bit wider approach. For SEO purposes, you want to be creating, keyword targeted content because you want to drive organic search traffic. So, there are certain types of content that will drive traffic and others that will not. You may create a piece of content that will perform really well on social, Facebook, Twitter, really any type of social platform, but it may not perform well in the search engine. And so there's a kind of a different way to optimize content for the search engine. So the main way is you have to create it around a specific keyword that has search volume. So,
and how do you actually get links to that content?
So obviously it always starts with the content asset itself. So that needs to be of the highest quality imaginable, and it needs to be better. Basically, we have two strategies that we use. Either the content has to be significantly better than all of the results that are on the first page, or it has to be significantly different than all the results that are on the first page. So the first one, obviously, if you, let's say the keyword is, how do you find a dentist or something like that, and you write a content asset about that, well, you'd go into Google and you'd see the top 10 competitors, and you'd want to create something that is, if the average keyword count, or sorry, average word count is 1,500 words, you want to create something that's 3,000 words, something that is significantly better. And then also, when we do a competition analysis, we're looking at like several factors. So we're looking at word count, we're looking at whether they use media in their content, we're looking at whether they link out to authoritative resources. And so the list goes on and on. So basically we're just looking for ways to beat them out. And a lot of the time, you can beat out dentists or these other industries because they're not heavily invested in content. So, and then the other strategy, which is to create something different, would be, if everything on the first page was super authoritative and high quality, for example, backlinks, the example you gave earlier, well, everything on the first page for backlinks is super authoritative and really high quality. So the only way for you to break into the first page for that keyword, you have to create something completely different than what's there. So if everyone had, 4,000 word articles, you'd have to come in with maybe like an expert roundup or maybe an infographic or something completely different. So, and obviously, I was just gonna say the last thing is typically the best strategy is to combine both of those together. So something that is much better and something that's much different as well is really the best strategy.
And as far as specific tips, if we could kind of nail it down to, here's how you actually reach out. So I've got this great piece of content. It's well researched. It's polished. Now, who do I reach out to in order to get links? I've always, in past shows, I've talked about, you're referring to your oral surgeon, your periodontist, your endodontist. These people that you're referring to, if they have blogs that are existing, or if you can convince them to get blogs and link back to your site in a contextual, meaning, as an editorially granted link that makes sense, citing you as an expert on being a dentist, just like you do referring to them in real life. That's kind of one example. And then, you've got low-hanging fruit like Chamber of Commerce links and things like that. But as far as, going above and beyond, because SEO is a foot race, right? So, if another dentist is doing a lot, maybe SEO is not the right fit for you for a certain keyword or for a certain city because it's very competitive. But what would you say to those dentists who are like, actually, it's there's a certain barrier, and I'm just not sure how to get over that barrier when it comes to links. How do you actually acquire the links?
So the first step is obviously to identify where you're going to get the links from. So the way we do it is we have just an entire phase dedicated to link prospecting. So, we're looking, the highest quality link opportunity you want to get is a contextual link, like you mentioned. So we're looking for blogs that frequently link out to relevant things in the industry. So the link prospecting is pretty straightforward. We'd basically just use Google, and then we just put queries in there. So we'll put, I don't know, dentist blogs or dentist forums or just anything of that nature. And then obviously it'll get more specific depending on what the industry is. But then we basically, once we have that list, we qualify them. We qualify the list to make sure that they've posted within the last couple months, hopefully, and it's not a dead blog. And then after we've qualified those opportunities, we reach out to them and build a relationship, and then hopefully get a link on the blog. And so it's not this like, crazy way of doing things. It's pretty straightforward, but it works. And the main issue that a lot of people have with outreach is they use templates that everyone else uses. And so really all it takes is just to reach out normally and just try to actually build a relationship. And you'll have a pretty high success rate. Most people will respond when you're just being normal. So
Yeah, and so for a dentist who's watching this, I mean, obviously a lot of SEO companies might even hit you up. They're like, hey, sir/madam,
yeah.
I can get you, can I post on your blog, or I can get you a link to this. What are some of the top tips, some of the things that you've seen as far as, obviously being a real person, and starting with relationships that you already have in your community is a good place. But do you have any top tips for like a dentist who's going to say, okay, I'm gonna make 100 of the dental blogs, a list of them, and I'm going to reach out. Do you recommend calling? Do you recommend emailing? Are there any tricks or not really tricks, but any ideas on how to, make it more personable and persuade the person to accept your guest post and link back to you, or just any tips on that?
Yeah. So the success rate of your outreach actually begins before you even do the outreach. So, first, if you don't build a relationship and you just reach out asking for something, you're not going to get anything. And your conversion rate is going to be really low. And so the first thing you have to do is develop that relationship. So you can do that either by, commenting on their blog, communicating with them on Twitter, Facebook, anything that can just build even a small connection is necessary. And then typically what we would do is we want to give them something of value before we ask for anything. So you'd want to reach out to them, email, and maybe just compliment them on something on their site or their blog, and without asking for anything, obviously. And then from there, after you have built up that relationship, which should take, no more than maybe a month or so, then you can maybe ask, hey, can we publish a guest post on your site and link back to obviously the content asset that you already built. But there are different ways. The guest posting is the most obvious, but there are resource pages that you can look for. There are link lists you can look for, and so a lot of those can be a good way to score links as well. But the one thing that works really well for outreach, and this is across every industry, is money. So paying bloggers is the easiest way to get links. So, we try not to pay them, but oftentimes that's what it comes down to. And, you've heard that money talk. So it really does, especially in SEO. So, and, people will say, well, you're buying links. Well, sometimes it feels like you're buying links, but really you're kind of just buying placement and kind of buying the relationship and the opportunity to be able to place your link there. So yeah. It's the nature of the game. So you have to do what you have to do to get that placement. Otherwise you're really just going to lose. So.
And I think this kind of goes back to, more of a broad marketing idea is, SEO, and I'd like to get your opinion on this too, is, I feel like SEO used to be this kind of esoteric thing where, some geeky guy in his mom's basement would do whatever, and you'd rank,
Yeah.
overnight. Now it's kind of become the result of real world marketing, like you said, relationship building, content creation, people, delivering value to people,
Hmm.
and then as a result, you rank higher. But there's a certain algorithm that Google's using uh, to ensure that they can measure the veracity of those relationships and that content. Um, but I guess the real question is you know if I'm going out and I'm reaching out to bloggers and I just don't really know what kind of strategy, what kind of backlinks are going to be most beneficial to my dental website to get ranked. Do you recommend, like, you know just paying to get placement in top dental media outlets, or is it really better to go the relationship building route, and maybe it takes a lot longer, but at least now you're not even paying for those link placements?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the most ideal situation is to never pay for links. That would be ideal. But, basically, the way you should do it is you should prioritize your link opportunities. So the ones that are the most relevant should be at the top. And then once you've gone through all of the most relevant opportunities, then you can start working your way down the relevancy ladder. So we actually have something that's called the relevancy pyramid. It's on my blog if you want to read about it. You just look it up on Google. But it shows, you start at the most relevant opportunities and you just work your way down the pyramid. And as you go down the pyramid, there are more opportunities, but the relevancy has decreased pretty significantly.
Yes.
So that's kind of the way to go about it. And obviously, like you said, if you can go the relationship route, that is the best route, because over time, you can keep generating links from those relationships over time. So to give you an example, I have a lot of relationships with other SEOs. So they always link to me and I always link to them. So we have this relationship where we're always promoting each other. And that just was built over time. So that's a way that some dentists should consider approaching it.
Excellent, excellent. That's tremendous, because I think a lot of dentists who are watching this haven't really thought about that. You know, the fact that you can build relationships with other websites. And the one thing that I haven't seen a whole lot is general dentists and general dentists linking to each other.
Hmm.
It tends to be a competitive space, but even that is something to consider. Maybe you each have your own focus. One focuses on same-day crowns, and the other one focuses on implants. I mean, there is nothing wrong with trading horses and sending people from one specialist to another. And just like in real life, links are kind of the Google's version of that, right? The endorsement,
Exactly.
the
Yep.
referral. Yeah. All right. So, where can dentists find you if they want to learn more about doing this themselves, or maybe hire you, or just maybe find out more about Nathan Gotch? What got him into this? What keeps him up at night? Where can they find you?
Well, they can obviously Google Nathan Gotch. But if you Google Nathan Gotch or Gotch SEO, or just go to gotchseo.com, you'll be able to find my site and find my blog, and you can learn about SEO for free. So, and then if you ever need help and you need an agency to come in and just do it for you, so you don't have to worry about it, then obviously, we can help you out there too. So,
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, Nathan. It's been a huge honor.
of
And
course, thank you.
guys, thanks for watching the Dental Marketing Guy Show.